Thanks to our sponsors. Goods and services used in the production of Hanging Out with Dee were brought to you by Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hanging Out with Dee. I'm Dee Harris, and I have another amazing friend to introduce you to. I'm going to introduce you to Clark Austin. He's a restaurant manager at Bertucci's. And later on in the show, we're going to have some really cool music from Doron Ben Ami and Friends. Welcome, Clark. Good to have you.
It's good to be having. It's good to be here actually. Hanging out with Dee. It's a long time coming, and I'm glad I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Really happy.
Appreciate it.
Yes. So you were raised by a single mom who's Haitian, so you have a little Haitian, and you want to shout out in Haitian and say hi in Haitian?
Sac passe everybody. I'm La Danbury, Brooklyn. So I like to say hi to everybody.
All right. Okay. So you were born in Brooklyn. Tell us what life was like growing up with a single mom in Brooklyn.
Well, I mean, growing up, I didn't know the difference between, like having have-nots and having something.
Yeah.
The way she took care of us, I never felt that I was without anything. But, she worked 2 jobs for a long time. Yeah. She gave us what we needed. And not always what we wanted. So that's usually that's what I took from that, and I kind of carried over to my own kids.
Yeah.
I told them that what you need is what it comes first.
Correct.
Once a second. So
good.
She raised me and my sister to give us the actual ability to be able to take care of yourself in later life.
Let's talk about that. You were talking about how much of a strong woman she was. I like what you said about even though you didn't have everything you needed, she created that environment where you didn't feel poor and you didn't feel like you didn't have enough.
Exactly.
So talk about some of the things that she taught you as a kid that you still carry with you today.
One of the main things she taught me was, as I said before, self-sufficiency. To be able to take care of yourself before you could start taking care of others. Getting a family together, kids, and so growing up, she taught us that everything has a consequence. So that if you make $1, you spend $1, then you don't have nothing. So if you have $1, you spend 50 cents, you have 50 cents left over to save. So everything has a consequence to it, no matter what. Financials, personal life, business, school. If you put whatever you put into it, you get out of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And she always went by the motto that you do for others, and then it'll come back twice fold.
Yes.
There are times when that model did not
work.
With me. I didn't,
You're like, Mom.
Because I would see the effects of it, and I used to be like, why would you do that? Because you keep putting yourself out there. But she always believed that you put yourself out there. Doesn't matter what, you may not see it tomorrow, you may not see it next week or next year, but
might not be in her life.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a spiritual principle.
Exactly.
I think that what you sow, you reap, and the whole thing of karma.
Exactly.
People are into that new age stuff. Get that.
Exactly.
Whatever you sow now, even if it doesn't come in her lifetime.
Exactly.
The hope is that will come to you or to your
or my children.
Your children.
Exactly.
But I know what you mean. That frustration of you being nice to someone and it's not coming back immediately. Yeah.
Early age, she taught me how to clean, iron, wash, cook.
Wow.
We spent a couple of summers learning how to cook. Those are the things that she always said to me. I grew up with my sister and my mom, so I was the only guy in the house. So she said, you know what, you never want to rely on a woman to do everything for you. You got to be able to put part of that what you learn into a relationship as well.
Wonderful.
So I learned how to be self-sufficient and to be able to help and to be there and not have one person do everything. So I'm able to do as much as possible, not just throw out the garbage. You can do a little bit more than that. Exactly.
You can cook and you can help. Now that you're married and you have children, you can contribute with cooking, the laundry, and everything.
Exactly.
Thanks to Mom.
All right.
What's your mom's name?
My mom's name is Marlene Sherry.
Shout out to Marlene Sherry. You did a good job. So tell me about your family. You now have your own family. Your wife is an accountant.
Yes.
Shout out to your wife. What's your wife's name?
Her name is Angie Austin.
Shout out to Angie Austin and to your daughter Adalia and Kayam.
And my son Kayam.
Right.
Yep, Kayam.
Adalia is actually hanging out with us today as well.
Yeah.
So tell me about your family. Are they? You were talking about that they motivate you and keep you going. Talk to us about that.
Well, in any family, you have some black sheeps. You have certain, in my family, I had a couple, and so it made me refocus because growing up in Brooklyn is either a couple of things you can end up. Either one is maybe 6 feet under or in prison.
Death or jail.
Exactly. So at an early age, I knew that I didn't want those two things.
Yeah.
Well, not
option 3.
Yeah, option 3. So my mom set me on this right path. I mean, there were times when I would be hanging out with my friends, summertime, and once 7:30, 8 o'clock is dark, she would be screaming, get upstairs, and all my friends my age and or younger to be out there till whatever. But those friends are no longer around to the effect that they should be. Some of them are probably away in prison, some are gone, some got deported to their country. So she didn't play around.
She didn't mess around.
No, she had a very hard hand. I think I count both hands how many times I got disciplined, but for all those times it was well worth it and it was well received. She also taught me my sister by the way, her name is Mignon Austin. Mignon.
Shout out to Mignon. Did I say it right?
Yep, Mignon.
It's a beautiful French name.
Yeah, it is. It is. She loves it too. But yeah, she taught both of us to basically treat people with respect. So for me, when I meet somebody, it's always 100%, and you can always lose respect with me. Yeah. So that's pretty much what going back as far back as my youth in Brooklyn, that's exactly what I can remember.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guess what, guys? It's time for Dee's life questions. All right, guys, welcome back to Dee's life questions. That went so fast. We had so much more to say. But you wanted to talk about your mentors. One of your mentors, Dan, he gave you this thing about the 7 life questions.
Yeah. Dan Lowe. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
At one point, he was my boss. My boss's boss.
Yeah.
So he gave me the first opportunity to work with a company called Chipotle Mexican Grill.
You were a GM there.
Yeah.
All over the country.
I started off as an assistant manager, and then within 6 months, moved up to GM.
Wow.
I met him in New York City. Interviewed for the position, and the position was for actually relocation to DC.
Yeah.
So I spent 6 weeks in New York City, right around the corner from the Garden.
Yeah.
And I worked. Was it 6 weeks? I'm sorry, 2 months.
Yeah.
Training there, and then relocated to DC, where he was actually overlooking 50-something restaurants.
Wow.
Within the Virginia, DC, Maryland area.
And then he gave you the 7 life questions.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at it. Let's go ahead. Let's look at the first graphic. The 7 rules of life. Make peace with the past so it won't screw up the present.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means don't don't procrastinate. That's the biggest thing that can come out of procrastination is that because the past, no matter how far it is, it can always repeat itself.
Correct.
The history. So you always have to take care of what you have to take care of.
Yeah.
Because if not, it will come. No matter how long, it could be 20 years. Somehow something will find you. So take care of everything you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And make peace with things in that moment and try to live in the present.
Yeah, exactly.
That's powerful. All right, let's look at the other graphic. What others think of you is none of your business, Clark. That's something that plagues a lot of people. People want to be liked.
Well, yeah.
So that's pretty interesting that it would say, what people think of you is not your business.
Exactly. Well, I work in the public, so I mean, right now, social media is big. So, being a restaurant manager, you do get a lot of critics. Before it used to be just that one person from the newspaper.
Yes.
Now it's
oh my gosh,
Sammy, Billy from high school,
Joe the plumber.
Exactly. So you get a lot of that. So for me, it's I continue doing what I have to do. As long as I know what I'm doing is the correct thing I'm doing. I believe in myself and what I'm doing. So I can't really, change your mind. I can hope that what I'm doing affects you in a good way, positively. But if it doesn't, then I can't. That's not my business. How you feel about me like that. So
that's powerful.
Yeah.
That will definitely bring relief to a lot of people. What somebody else's opinion is theirs. And you have to know who you are.
Exactly.
Who are you in God? What are you created to be?
Exactly.
What is your purpose? And focus on that, and not what people have to say about you. That's pretty powerful. Yeah, I like it. I like it, Mon.
I love it.
Next graphic. Time heals almost everything. Give it time. What does that mean for you?
Well, growing up, you get a lot of, knocks here and there. A lot of stuff happens. If you don't really think that it's gonna heal or take care of itself, then you're gonna stay in that moment forever. You have to believe that with time comes a lot of different things that happens. Things change, so it does, and not everything. I'm not gonna be sit here and tell you it's gonna heal everything. Almost everything. Almost, not everything. So I want people out there thinking that whatever you do is gonna be magically healed in a few months. But almost everything. But you have to know exactly what you need to be, what inside you need to heal before.
And then move forward.
And then move forward from there.
All right, next graphic. Don't compare your life to others and don't judge them. You have no idea what their journey is all about.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. In common expression, don't judge a book by its cover. What does that mean to you?
Well, for me, it's just you have to think that sometimes when people see something, perception is always what people do. For me, I think that when you first meet someone, that's the initial thing that you have to
the perception.
Yeah, the person inside. Because you have ideas of who the person is and what they're about, but sometimes every person is different and every interaction is different, so you treat everybody differently. If I didn't do that, it would be, I don't
treat people the way you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Don't judge somebody because they have tattoos or they have a nose ring.
Some of those,
let them be.
That could be the most sane person in the world.
Correct. Next graphic, Dale. Stop thinking too much. It's all right not to know the answers. Answers come to you when you least expect it.
Yeah, I have a lot of, I think too much. And right now I'm thinking about
what you're going to do next.
I'm thinking about next week. You think a lot about stuff. And, answers will come to you. But for me, I
think that goes to living in the moment as well. And knowing that things will work out, like in Jamaica we say everything will be Irie man. Everything is gonna be work out. It's gonna be a kuna matata. It's gonna resolve itself in time.
Because who has all the answers?
No
Nobody
one.
does.
You'll go crazy. Next graphic. No one is in charge of your happiness except you.
What do you think about that one? That's good.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
How many of us marry people or hook up with people because we're thinking and hoping that they will complete us?
Yeah, because you have a picture in your head of who they are, and completely wrong because they're who they are.
Correct.
And you have to accept that and see that.
Correct.
So
you have to do the work. You have to do your own personal work. No one can make you happy. You have to do that for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. All right, that's the end of Dee's live questions, guys. All right, now this is my favorite new segment. I don't like that man.
No man.
No man.
No.
No man.
No. How long do we have for this? Because I can go on forever.
We could go on for an hour.
What I don't like. Oh, man.
Okay, Clark, what gets on your last nerve? Oh my God.
This has to go back to just my career as restaurant manager.
Yes.
Okay. If something is empty, like if you have a box.
Yes.
And you take the contents out the box.
Yes.
And you put the contents away, what would you do with that box? You would throw that box out. You break
in
it up.
the garbage.
Throw it in the recycling bin.
Yes.
You're done with it. But it's what really ticks me is when you walk in there and you see that box empty and it's still on a shelf or it's somewhere in there. It's like, can we just throw it out?
Can we throw it out?
No, that does. It does.
I think that goes back to your upbringing with your mom as well.
Yes.
A woman of order and putting things in its place.
Oh yeah.
That drives me up the wall as well.
She would clean the sink after washing dishes, so it was everything shiny. She wanted like a spot of water on there. So after she's done,
the dishes,
after dinner, you better, if you wet that sink, you gotta dry it up.
Wipe it up.
Oh, it has to be dry completely. So I think a lot of that
would absolutely drive you up the wall.
Yeah. So I took a little bit from all that. And so I'm very, I'm particular of how everything has to have a home.
So you run your restaurant that way. You want things done in a particular way.
Mise en place. Everything has a home.
What is mise en place for?
That means it's French. That means everything has a home. Everything has some place it's supposed to be. This plant right here, that's his home for now. Those two glasses over there, that's their home. Everything has a home. So make everything, so that's what for me, I work in there, mise en place, NCO, neat, clean, organized. And so that's the things when I work in the restaurant and people, when they're doing certain things, I'm like, oh, that's not the right way. And it could be busy Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Each serve had like maybe 5 or 6 tables. I will stop everything. Who left this empty box in the cooler?
Correct.
And so they know that, and so I don't have to say much because they know little things like that.
Mise en place.
Yeah.
We learned a new term today, guys. Mise en place. Everything has its place.
Everything has a home.
All right. Everything has a home. All right. Now it's time for Say What. All right. So. The Say What segment is where our friends here at Hanging Out with Dee get a chance to go a little deeper in their area of expertise. And Clark is going to tell us about dough. Who knew there was a science of dough? Are you kidding?
No, I kid you not. I didn't know about science of dough until I started to do working with dough.
Yeah.
It's amazing because, you don't take for granted each and every day. You have a little muffin here, bread, bagels, rolls, pizzas. But then you wonder, okay, it just magically happens. Water and some flour and just, no.
There's a science behind it.
It's a little bit more than that. Yeast is probably the
All right,
key.
let's go to the first graphic.
Exactly.
Let's not give it away yet.
Okay.
All right, Dale. The right temperature.
Exactly, the right temperature. You have to have the right temperature to activate whatever you're gonna put into that dough. So 75 degrees is what we ask for, and we have a actual faucet at work that just keeps it at the right temperature, so we never have to veer from that. But yeah, 75 degrees, you need to have that.
So your dough needs to be at 75 degrees. It needs to have that
water, exactly. You need to have that type of water. Can be cold, can be hot, or nothing won't happen.
Room temperature.
It has to have that room temperature to activate what we have in the dough.
Awesome, 75 degrees. Next slide. Yeast.
Yeah.
Why is yeast important?
Well, yeast is, chemically and biologically, is actually an organism. So with the water,
yeast is a living organism.
Yeah, because it's you put it in from as young as my daughter's science projects. When you mix yeast and baking soda, and you make these. Incredible, lava, all that stuff activates. So the yeast goes in there with the right temperature, and then activates the yeast.
Causes it to rise.
Exactly, causes it to rise.
Next graphic. Good flour.
Oh, good flour.
There's flour that's not good flour? Cheap flour?
Yeah, there's different levels of flour.
So the flour itself is important.
Flour itself is important. You have certain additives, preservatives, stuff that you want to kind of keep out. Nowadays, organic gluten is very important, so you want to have good flour. You want to make sure that
you want to have a flour with organic gluten.
Yeah, organic. Okay. That's good. We don't have that personally, but if they have that, a lot of guests
that option.
Ask for that. Exactly. So flour is key. To have good flour, have a good base of that flour is very important too as well. Not as important as yeast, but of course it's important because flour covers everything.
Yeah. All right. Next graphic. Proofing. What is that?
Proofing. Well, proofing is very important too because you need at least 24 hours after you make the dough.
Yes.
It's nice and cold. Now you got to put it in the cooler for 24 hours. Now,
and that process is called proofing.
It's called proofing.
Okay.
Exactly. And that comes out in the difference is, of course, the crust and the actual pizza. You can see the difference. You can taste it and feel it. It's rubbery when it's actually made the same day and it's used the same day. And if you have 24 hours, it makes the dough nice and soft. The crust comes out perfectly soft and
oh my
delicious.
God. Yeah. We're going to be snobs now.
Oh,
when we go to buy, we're going to be like this. this was not proof.
It's not proof 24
hours. This is rubbery.
It's about 16 hours in there.
Next slide. Never use your fingers, only your fists when you're manipulating the dough. Tell us why.
It, exactly. Well, not manipulating as the dough itself, but when you're actually finished with the actual dough and you stretch it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to see some people like pick it with their fingers.
Yeah,
or
I see that on TV all the time.
Yeah, that happens when it just stretches it out and not makes it like an even circle. So you want to make sure that as you lift it underhand and you put your fist under.
And not with your fingers.
Not your fingers. If you're gonna manipulate it, you can do that with it, or you can just take it and put it on a peel.
Oh my God!
But the fingers kind of just rips and makes it like a shirt. If you put a hanger, it brings out a little.
Not cool.
Yeah, not cool.
All right, guys, it's music time. I have my good friend Doron Ben Ami and his friends going to do an amazing song for us. Check it out.
You're allowed to sing. Okay. All right. But on that note.
Well, which note? Pick a note.
I got it. Right there. It's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Never cared much for moonlit skies. I never winked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. I never went in for afterglow or candlelight under mistletoe. But now when you turn the lights down low, I'm beginning to see the light. Used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark that's fall on fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now when your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Fall on fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now when your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. That's fall on fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now when your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. I'm beginning to see the light.
How fun was that with Doron and his friends? Awesome. Yeah. Welcome to Dee's Eats. We're back with Clark, and he is gonna show us how to make a pizza He's going to start from the proofing point and then take us right through what we need to do.
Yeah, well, thank you, Dee. Right now, what I'm going to be doing right now is featuring our one of our new pizzas that we have at Bertucci's, which is called the bruschetta pizza. I'm going to start off with the dough, get a large.
And this has been proofed, right? Because now we're snobs now.
Exactly, no, it's been proofed. This is actually 48 hours. I didn't want nothing too hard. Yeah, because if it's less than that, it's going to be very, very difficult to stretch actually. So you want to make sure it's nice and proofed. You want to definitely have a rolling pin, and flour is your friend. Okay, use flour as much as possible. That keeps the dough from being too elasticy and then stretched to what you need for.
Okay.
So we're gonna start stretching it out. Usually I start from the middle, and you want to kind of make an indentation, and then from the middle you go slide it up. Forward up, and then from the middle again, forward down. Okay. All right. And then you take the actual flour, turn it over into the side, and then you want to start to stretch again as well.
So flour side down, and then you flip it over.
Exactly. So flour side down and flip it over, and then now you start to make the length. And then you want to take it now, flip it on the side to start building it, and then start getting it to be a little higher. And then you want to take it, and all the bubbles in here. You want to make sure,
bubbles,
the bubbles are going to be here. You want to kind of use this and then pop the bubbles as you go. And then also when it's in the oven at 600 degrees, it will, of course, start bubbling, and you want to actually pop those bubbles. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stretch it up to a certain amount. I'm not going to make a large pie today because we have too much room here, but I want to make sure that it's big enough to put all the toppings on. And as you go, you just want to make sure you kind of keep even and make sure all the sides are even, and that no side is too
thick.
Yeah,
no side is thicker than the other.
You want to make sure it's all evened out. Okay. Yeah. So now we got our dough stretched out. Now we can start our toppings. The first topping you want to start off with the bruschetta is, instead of tomato sauce, which is what we normally use for pizzas, we're going to use a pesto sauce. Now with the pesto, it's actually has no nuts in it, so if somebody needs to have this, they don't have to worry about any pine nuts.
If anybody has like a nut allergy,
exactly,
this is good.
This is good for them.
Okay.
And pesto is really good. It's something you could put on in dishes, pasta dishes, as well as pizza. You could make any type of sandwich and use it as a base spread. As you spread the pesto, it becomes the actual, you stretch it out over the pizza.
Oh my God, I can smell it.
Yeah. And then you get
Smells delicious, guys.
Exactly. Now you get it to about quarter of an inch to the actual crust. Okay. Second thing you want to do now is our favorite, grated cheese, Romano grated cheese. You want to get a little bit all over. I kind of use from the outside in when you're putting cheese on a pizza, and you kind of go in.
Okay.
Make sure everything is covered. All right. Now, once the pizza is done, you want to put in your mozzarella slices.
All right.
Put those over the top. And that goes into the oven at about, I would say, a minute or two, 600 degrees. Once that comes out,
you put on
then you want to top it with diced tomatoes.
So you wouldn't put the tomato on in the oven?
No,
you would make it slushy and gross.
Exactly. You put it right afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you garnish it with a balsamic fig glaze. You go right over.
Oh my goodness, beautiful.
Just like that. And there you have it. And of course, we kind of put a little bit, brush the crust with a little canola oil.
Yeah.
To give it a nice sheen and a little flavor too as well.
Beautiful.
And that's what you have right there. And for the end product, I brought over some pies for you guys as well. And this is the end product that we have here. And I will finish it off with a little diced tomato. Go ahead, Dee. You can do
the honors.
Yeah, do the honors.
Okay.
There you go.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Oh yeah.
This looks really nice. And then you would finish it off.
With the glaze.
I don't know if I can do that as well as you can.
Oh, let's see. Let me see. If I can, nice little.
Oh my
across.
goodness.
Just like that. And there you go. We have a nice bruschetta pizza.
So delicious.
With pesto sauce.
It's delicious. Let me grab a piece.
Oh yeah.
Yummy.
That's
Yummy,
pretty
yummy,
good.
guys.
Good
All right,
stuff.
listen. Thank you so much, Clark, for coming.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great
Thanks for having me.
So great having you. Find us on Facebook at Hanging Out with Dee. See you next time, and be kind to someone. Bye.